In this training video, we will go over how to add a customer. To add a customer, you click on the customer icon, which is above here, the two heads. Also, if you hover over any of the icons above, it'll tell you what it is. So we'll click on the customer icon. This will bring up the customer screen. Anytime you want to add something new in Windfall, you hit the white page to add new. So to add a new customer, you must hit the white page to add new, and this will bring up the customer information screen. The only field required on the screen is the customer information name right here. As you can see in red, it states required is equaled with an asterisk. So here you can see that only the name is required. But as I consistently say, the more information you put in the Windfall, the better off you are. So for this example, we will use the customer hotel. So the customer name is going to be the name of your customer. Maybe it's Marriott Hotels, maybe it's an O&I customer, office and industrial customer, a record storage customer, a household goods customer. Whichever the customer name is what you put here. The title represents, for example, such as if this was a household goods customer, you could put in Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor or whatnot. SSN number is Social Security number, so if you wanted to capture the Social Security number of the customer, you could. That would be relevant in household goods. The address of the customer. Address too if they had another address, multiple addresses. City, state, zip code, country. If the customer has a government bill of lading number, you could enter it here if it was a military customer. National account, you could assign the customer to a national account. What a national account is, for example, is say you have Pepsi as a national account and the customer is McDonald's and you have another customer called Burger King, and Pepsi was the national account for both of those customers. What you would do is you would set up two separate customers, one being McDonald's and one being Burger King, and then you would set up the national account as Pepsi for both of those customers. That way, if you wanted to run a report based on show me all my national accounts for Pepsi, or show me all my accounts under the national account Pepsi, you could run a report based on your national account. Or if Pepsi wanted you to separate them by scratch that. So national account is if Pepsi was the national account and McDonald's and Burger King were the customers, and you wanted to bill back Pepsi for Burger King and McDonald's, you would set up as the national account as Pepsi. Billing type, this goes along with another billing module that we have. Only a few customers have it. We no longer provide that module, but that doesn't mean you can't use this feature. Under billing type, you have three options you can select from: commercial, household, permanent, household, storage, and transit. So if you ever wanted to select one of these billing type modules, you can run reports based on show me all my customers under the billing type commercial, show me all my customers for household, storage, and transit. It's another way that you can filter out customers in reporting. Agent, if you want to select your agent, if you have multiple agent codes, and once again wanted to run a report based on the customers under a specific agent code, you could do that here by selecting the agent. Customer number, this field is relevant in the record storage process. We will get to later on in different training videos record storage, but if this customer is not a record storage customer, you can leave this field blank, or you can capture some other type of number that refers to this customer. So if you have some other type of software where you create a number to go and coincide with this customer name, you could enter that number here. Just because the field says a specific thing such as zip code or customer number or whatever doesn't mean you have to put in what the field specifies. You can use that field to enter any kind of data that refers to that customer if you wish. In this information tab here, you cannot change the names such as city, state, zip code. You cannot change the headers, but you can modify within the field what you want to put. Down here is contact information. So this is the contact information for this customer. So whoever you speak to when dealing with this customer is the information you would put down here. So, and the person's phone number, another phone number, fax, email, and so on and so forth. For as of today, there's only one contact per customer. In later versions of Windfall, we will have more options to enter more contacts, but for now we only have one contact per customer. Over here we have ongoing. If you check ongoing, that means this customer is an ongoing customer. You are continuously bringing product in and out of the warehouse for this customer. So if ongoing is checked, the customer will stay active no matter if you have inventory in the system or not. If you uncheck ongoing and you bring in inventory for this customer and then deliver out all the inventory for that given customer, the customer will then archive itself once ongoing is unchecked. So I would suggest checking ongoing for any customer that you have that you consistently bring product in and out of the warehouse for. Download, if you check download, download means this customer will download to the scanner anytime you do a data transfer, or if you're wireless, download has to be checked in order for the customer to appear on the scanner. If you do not check download, the customer will be in the interface, in the Windfall interface on your computer, but it will not show on your scanner. Web enabled, you do not want to check web enabled at this time. I will cover later on when we go over the web portion of training when to check this box, so keep this unchecked for now. Generate component tag number automatically. Once again, this is in reference to record storage when you use component tags, and once again that'll get covered in the record storage training video. Over here, if you want to add a salesperson into this customer, you can just hit the plus sign and name the salesperson if you like. So once you have all this data that you want filled out for this customer, it's yellow and we want to save. So we hit the save icon on the upper left hand corner, and now it's white. So anything we want to do moving forward when we come back, we'll be editing this customer. Just remember, anything in white is editing, anything in yellow is new. So that's the first step in setting up a customer. The first step is putting in the customer name and the customer's information. That is under the information tab. Also, you'll notice that up in the upper left hand corner it says we're in the customer hotel. So anything we do in any of these tabs down below will only refer to this customer. Our software is designed to be customer specific, so anything you do within this customer here only refers to that customer. So any setup, any articles you create, any work orders, any inventory you bring in is only for this customer. So anything you do in these icons above here is for all customers. It's global wise, so any kind of locations you create, anything you set in global, that'll be in reference to use for all customers in your software. But once you are inside the customer, any tab that you work in below is just for that given customer. So this is step one. Also, we have profile sharing, and profile sharing is an option that you can use. It's not part of creating a customer, but it is an option that you can utilize down the line for any given customer you may need. What it is profile sharing, for example, is if your agency has a customer such as, let's say it's Marriott Hotels. So you have the client Marriott Hotels, and you go in here and you set up all the data collection for Marriott Hotels. You enter articles, you enter scanner prompts, customer name, address, information such as that. And then another one of your agencies in a different state, let's say, also has the same customer, Marriott Hotels. Well, Marriott doesn't want your agency to capture different data than the other agency. They want everything to be consistent. They want a chair to be called a chair. They don't want it to be called a left wing chair in one scenario, and in another scenario just have it be called a chair. So what you can do is your agency can set up the customer Marriott Hotels Set up all the, like I said before, the articles and the scanner prompts. And once that's set up, what you'll do is you'll get your other agency's profile sharing number, hit the plus sign, and put in their profile sharing number here. Then it'll check data locked. So that means the data is locked. So what it'll do is after you put in your other agency's profile sharing number, it will create the same Marriott hotel customer in their database. That way it will share the same data collection, the same prompts, and the same articles. That way everything stays consistent. Now the other agency, if it is marked as data locked, cannot change or modify any of the scanner prompts or articles. So that gives the Marriott hotel customer sets their mind at ease to know that both agencies are collecting their data the same way. So the one agency will have the ability to change and modify articles, and the other one will just have basically like a print preview screen of it, and it's set for them. So they can bring in inventory, take out inventory, but they can't modify any of the articles or the data prompts. So that's profile sharing. Now you do not have to use that. It's just a tool within the software if you ever need it down the line. So once again, that's step 1 in setting up a customer. It's the information tab, customer name. Step 2 is orders. So you must click on the order tab in Windfall for step 2. Today in Windfall Classic, you are required to have at least one order number per customer. You can have more order numbers if you wish, but today Windfall Classic requires you to have at least one. So anytime you want to add something new into Windfall, you hit the white page to add new, and that makes it yellow, so you know it's new. As you can see, we have the required red asterisk on this page as well. So the order number is the only thing required on this page. The order number can be alphanumeric or alpha or numeric. It can be whatever you want it to be. If you don't have a said order number for this given customer, you can make up something along the lines of an order number. For example, some customers just use the customer name again. So our customer name is hotel, so we would name the order number hotel. That order number, if you're only going to have one order number, it's going to represent all inventory that you bring in for that customer. So you don't want to look at order number as a PO number for any time it comes in. You want to look at it as one order that's going to assume all inventory. So for example, if you had a reason to use multiple order numbers would be in a hotel project such as this one. Excuse me. So Marriott Hotels has 3 towers. They have Tower A, Tower B, and Tower C. All the same inventory is going into all 3 towers, but Marriott wants to have reports based on what products in Tower A, what products in Tower B, and what products in Tower C. So what you could do within Windfall is, let me save this. You can hit white page to add new, create one order number called Tower A, save, white page to add new, create another order number called Tower B, save, add new, and create another order number called Tower C, save. So that way, when you bring in inventory on the scanner, you'll select the customer hotel, and then the scanner will prompt you to select the order. So you could select Tower A. Then any inventory you bring in under that order, Tower A, you can run a report based on, I have this many mattresses in Tower A, I have this many mattresses in Tower B, and I have this many mattresses in Tower C. So you can bring in inventory based on the order number. So that way when you run a report, you can run a report and see how much product you have in Tower A, how much product you have in Tower B, and how much product you have in Tower C. So that's an example of why you would use multiple orders, is if you wanted to separate your inventory based on, for example, separate towers. It's the same customer and the same inventory, but they want to know how many mattresses are going into this building, how many mattresses are going in that way. It's just another way to filter out your inventory. Also, you've noticed that I've used all capital letters when I'm creating anything in the software. I typically use all capitals because it looks nicer in reporting. You do not have to use all caps. You can use lowercase or whatnot. I just think it looks cleaner. But just from my experience, I see that you'll want to stay consistent, whether it be all capitals or lowercase and capitals. You'll want to be consistent in how you're collecting data as well as setting up customers. So we have Tower C. We also have ongoing. What ongoing means again is same as customer ongoing. It means that this order is an ongoing order. You're consistently bringing product in and out against this order number. If you create multiple order numbers and uncheck ongoing, then when that inventory is taken out of the warehouse against that order number will archive itself once all the inventory is taken out that was scanned in against it. So if you are consistently receiving product in and out for a given order, you'll want to mark it as ongoing. If you're only receiving product in once for a given order, you don't have to mark ongoing. That way that order number won't continue to show up as an option to select from on the scanner. So once you receive any product against that order one time, then you don't need to mark it as ongoing. You only want to mark it when you're constantly bringing things in and out, same as customer. So it's yellow, so we save. And for each order, I'm going to mark as ongoing because I want to consistently use all these orders. Once I'm finished with an order, I can just uncheck ongoing, and once I take out all my inventory that is tied to that order number will archive itself. You never want to delete anything in the software. You always want to archive it or inactivate it. If you delete something within the software, it's deleted, it's gone, we can't get it back. The only way to get something back is if you archive it or inactivate it. Also, you'll notice that you have a load date. If you want to capture a load date, you can. That would be the first time any product came in for that order. The shipment weight, that's more relevant to capture in a household goods standard because the weight is typically have one order, one shipment for household. It's a total weight, you can put that in. If you're consistently receiving product in for this order, then you're going to have multiple weights. So this is a good field to use in household. Any kind of comments you want to add for this given order, consignee, storage type, you can mark what type of storage type this customer is, commercial, cross-dock, displays and exhibits, distribution, electronics, anything you have in this list you can select from. Also within Windfall, anything you want to add to, you can as well, and I'll show you that later on in the training videos. So if there's another type of storage type you wanted to add to this list, you can. Outbound trailer number, purchase order, storage control number. Now purchase order is only relevant here if you only have one PO for this entire order. If you have multiple POs, you don't want to fill out the PO number here. I'll show you another place within the software to enter a PO for the inventory. Here we have bill of lading. If you have any inbound bill of lading numbers that you want to capture for this order, you can put those in. Location summary. This is just a find fast in a way. Once you receive inventory against this order, it'll show in a find fast all the inventory tied to this order and where it's located at within the warehouse. Also, you'll notice consistently throughout Windfall, whatever you're highlighting on above here is what you're working in down below here. So if I'm highlighted for Tower C, anything I'm doing down here is only relevant to Tower C. If I highlight Tower B, whatever I'm working in down below here is only relevant for Tower B. That is consistent throughout the software. Also, I always like to work left to right within the software and down below. That way I can make sure that I fill out the most data that I can and I don't miss anything. So I always work left to right in every tab. Also in every grid, you'll notice that you have headers in each grid. Order number, purchase order, storage type, shipment weight, storage control number. Those headers reflect what's down below here. To change these headers, you can right click in the grid and select, in this scenario, customer order information, and select what you want to see in this grid. So if you don't want to see storage control number, you just uncheck that and it no longer appears in the grid. You can also right click and select what maybe I want to see comments. I can choose what I want to see in my grid. This grid is set up for user specific. So when I log into Windfall, I can set my grids and my columns how I want to view them, and then someone else in my company can log into the same database and set their grids according to how they want to view. It's only for your viewing pleasure. Your customer will never see this inside of your software. It's just for your viewing. So once you get a ton of information in here, you can sort things and view things relevant to you. Also within the grid, you can move the columns. So I could put shipment weight, I could click and just drag shipment weight over here. So you can rearrange the columns on how you see fit for your viewing. Also, you'll notice to the left of every header, you have a little gray box or arrow. Whenever you click on the header, it changes the gray. So it starts off with a gray box. That is just displaying the orders and the way you created them. If you click again, you'll notice that the arrow is pointing upwards. That means it's displaying the orders down below in ascending order. If you click again, the arrow is pointing downward. That is displaying the orders in descending order. This is also consistent throughout the entire software as well. So any tab in here, every tab has a grid, and you can conform your tabs to how your columns and your grid on how you want to view. This is really relevant and comes in handy in the inventory tab when you're looking through all your inventory and grouping your inventory by certain ways you want to filter by it. So those are some features that you can utilize within the software. So this is the second step in creating the customer, is setting up an order number. And like I said before, you have to have at least just one order number. You can have multiple ones, but typically, unless it's a special project such as a hotel project or an office industrial project, you're going to have one order, and you're going to receive every inventory piece against that order. But like I said, you can also use it for multiple orders. That way, if you want to filter out your data based on a specific order, you can as well. The third step in setting up a customer is deciding on how you want to collect the data. There's two different ways to collect data. One way is through inventory and everything, putting an inventory sticker on every piece that comes into your warehouse, or you can create articles. And what articles are like items. So we'll cover articles first. So we clicked on the article icon, and this is the article screen. The third step in setting up a customer is data collection. So there's two different ways you can collect data. You can collect with an inventory sticker, a barcode, or tag number, as three words to describe how to collect is tag number, inventory number, or inventory sticker. They're all the same thing. They're a barcode with a number, a numeric number underneath. The second way is through articles. Articles are for like items. So in an instance where you were doing a hotel project or an office and industrial project where you have a lot of like items, you may want to create articles for this as well. Articles save you time on in the warehousing aspect of the world. So when you receive the product into the warehouse, instead of having to collect all the descriptive information for the pieces that are coming into the warehouse one by one, you can create articles that represent each like item and use that given article for every type of inventory piece that comes in. So we'll start with describing articles. And once again, articles are like items. So in this scenario where we're using a hotel customer, we're going to think of some inventory that you would have for a hotel customer. So you hit the white page to add new. As you can see, we also have this required asterisk again. So these 6 fields are required when creating articles. So you want to work left to right, so we'll start with article number. Typically, people use the part number as the article number. If you don't have the part number or won't know the part number till it arrives on the dock, then you can make up a part number, article number. You also can ask your customer to send you a list of the items that you are expected to receive in Excel format. And then what we can do is we can import the articles from your customer. That way, what your customer is sending you is the exact information of what you're going to receive. So if you can always ask your customer in the beginning of a project, can you send me an Excel sheet with everything I'm expected to receive? We then can import those articles into the software. And importing articles we will cover in a different training video. But to start, I'm going to go over articles here. So I'm just going to make up an article number in this instance for a chair. So I'm just going to say CH100, and that is going to be my article number. Then I must continue filling out the 6 required fields. Class. Now everything has a drop-down screen, as you can see, for each category, type, description. You can select from that drop-down, or you can put in whatever verbiage you prefer. So class, I'm going to select hotel project. It's kind of like building a tree. You're picking article, class, category, type, and description, all data entry to describe this one item. So it's a hotel project. Our category, I can either, once again, select from the drop-down or put in my own category, which I'm going to call it seating. Type, I'm just going to put chair. And then my description, I'm going to put in love seat. Now, if you hit tab, whatever you put in description will also appear in reader description. So you can have the same thing in description and reader description as if you want, or you can change it. You do not have to have different things in each 6 of the fields, but I would suggest putting different information in each 6 fields, because whatever you're putting here in Windfall for articles will appear on the website for when your customer views their inventory. So when they go online, they'll see CH100, seating, chair, love seat. So it looks better if you have seating, chair, love seat rather than chair, 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 or chair, chair, love seat. So if you can make it like a tree to describe the piece more in depth, it looks nicer when your customer is viewing online. The reason we have reader description here and description, 2 separate things, are for collection purposes. And we'll go over that a little more when I hit on the configuration tab for data collection. But what reader description is when you're scanning in articles on the scanner, there's 2 different types of ways you can receive the article. The first type is on the scanner, it prompts you with a prompt that says article number and then a blank field below. You can either scan the article or type in the article. That's one option. The second option to set your scanner to collect articles is from a drop-down list. So when the article prompts you, it'll say article number, and then below it'll prompt you with a drop-down list of all the articles you've created in Windfall. So whatever you put in reader description when you're creating the article is what will appear on the drop-down list on the scanner. So that's why we have reader description there. So whatever you put in there and you select the option to have a drop-down on the scanner for articles, this is what will appear on the scanner. I also suggest if you go that route and you want to use the drop-down instead of scanning or typing in the article, I always would suggest copying the article number. So you just highlight, right-click, select copy, and paste it in front of the reader description. That way, when the warehouse person is reading from the drop-down, they see more than just love seat. Because on a lot of purchase orders or POs, when you receive product, you could have multiple different types of love seats. So the more descriptive you can put in the reader description for the warehouse person, the easier it is for them to select which option suits them the best. So that's all 6 required fields are filled out right there. That's all you have to fill out for an article, but like I continuously say, the more data and the more information you have, the more descriptive you're going to have for your piece. So down below we have optional fields to describe the article more in depth. So if you have manufacturer, you could put in the manufacturer, the part number, which I said before I would suggest using the part number as the article number, the width, the depth, the height of the piece, the square footage of the piece. That's just one item. It's not a lot sum of the pieces. It's just what's the square footage of that chair. The cube footage, the weight of the chair, or whichever the piece is. And then you can also assign an image to the piece if your customer provides an image, or you can take one of online if you want to have a picture of the piece before you receive it. Also, I forgot to mention prior to this, articles must be set up first before you can bring in any inventory. You cannot set up articles on the scanner. They have to be set up in Windfall prior to receiving the inventory. So if you have a piece that comes into the warehouse that's not on your article list, then you'll have to go back into Windfall, create the article, do a download to the scanner, and then you can bring the item in. This is all prior to setup. It is a time saver in the long run, so you're either going to have to collect all the data on the dock when receiving the piece, or you can set up all the data collection prior to receiving the piece. So then when you receive it, all you have to do is collect the article number, possibly an inventory sticker, and the location, and all the data uploads into Windfall. So all this data we're putting in for this specific CH100 article sticks with CH100. So when you scan in article number CH100, all this inventory is tied to that article number. Or excuse me, all this description is tied to that article number. Attributes 1 through 7. What attributes are is it's more fields to describe the piece. So for example, if I wanted to make attribute 1 fabric, so if I needed to capture the fabric of this love seat, I could say the fabric is cotton. And then attribute 2, I wanted to capture the color of this piece as well. So my color, I could say, was tan. So the more descriptive you make the article, the more articles you're going to have to create. So if I make this article CH100 a love seat that's cotton and tan, and another love seat comes in and the color is different, such as maybe it's red, you would have to create another article number because the item changed. So if you have one love seat that's tan and one that's red, that's 2 separate articles. So you can make article numbers as descriptive as you want or as generic as you want. So if you want to make a generic article to represent all love seats, no matter if they're tan or red, you don't have to put in this additional information. But these fields are here to collect additional information. So it's yellow, so we save. This here, this pop-up, it says Windfall. Would you like to apply this customer article's changes to the corresponding inventory items? Note, answering yes will overwrite any previous changes made to the article fields in inventory. What this means is once you start scanning inventory into the system assigned to these articles, let's say you scan in 100 pieces of CH100s. So you have 100 in your system with locations and quantities. And then your customer calls you and said, I need you to capture the weight for each of those pieces. So instead of going into the inventory tab to each 100 of those individual pieces and adding the weight, you can go into the article tab, add the weight, save it, and then when you say yes to this prompt, that means it'll override any existing inventory tied to the CH100 and assign the weight to it. So instead of individually having to go to each CH100 in inventory and assigning the weight, you can assign the weight to the article here and it'll update the existing inventory. So that gives you a prompt of yes or no. So if you say no, it won't apply the changes to the existing inventory, and if you say yes, it will apply the changes. So also we have, notice how it says attribute 1 and attribute 2 and so on and so forth. Like I said, whatever you put in Windfall will appear on the website. So if you don't want your customer to see the verbiage of attribute 1 or 2, you can actually rename it to view what it actually is. So that's what we're going to do next. So for example, in this example here, we have the category of seating. So it's based on category. So I want to rename attribute 1 to fabric, and I want to rename attribute 2 to color. So what you need to do is, as the category for this is seating, you go to the configuration tab, click on attribute labels, select the given category you want to change the attribute name for, which in this case is seating. So we scroll down and find seating. Then we want to override attribute 1 and attribute 2, and then we rename it what we want it to say instead of attribute. So 1 would be fabric, and 2 would be color. Now this, it's yellow, so we save, and then we go back to our article tab, and we see that we have renamed our attributes to fabric and color. Now the reason we do it based on the category is because every article you may not want the same attribute fields for every article. So for example, the next article we're going to do is going to be lighting. And in lighting, I don't need to know a fabric or a color for my light or my lamp. So I don't want to have my attribute labels called fabric and color. So that's why we base it on the category, because they change per article. So let's do another one. So we always hit the white page to add new. We can either use the part number as our article number, or we can make up an article number, or we can use the number the customer may provide, which is typically the part number. So this one we're going to do a desk lamp, so I'm just going to call it DSKLMP. Class, once again, I'm going to say it's a hotel project. Category, I'm going to say it's electric. Type, I'm going to say it's lighting. And my description, I'm going to say it's a desk lamp. So I filled out my 6 required fields, and then once again, if I ever want to select the option of a drop-down list for my articles, I would suggest copying, right-click, copy, and pasting here. So it's more descriptive information for the warehouse person to view. And you can continue on with more descriptive information. It holds 150 characters, so as much data as you want to put in there, you can. So we can fill out, now that we filled out our required fields, we can continue down and fill out any more optional fields we want. Just remember, like I said before, the more descriptive you make the article, the more articles you'll create. So attribute 1, I'm going to capture, I'm going to say it's stainless steel. Now it's yellow, so I save. And I don't have any inventory in the system yet, so it doesn't really matter if I say yes or no to this prompt at this time. When you're creating articles, you're not bringing in inventory. You're creating data collection items to save you time when you're on the dock bringing in the inventory. So it's technically not in inventory. All it is you're creating descriptive information for what you are expected to receive. So once again, stainless steel, my category is electric. I want my attribute to say material. I don't want it to say fabric or color. So I go to configuration, attribute labels. I select my category. In this case, it's electric. I override attribute 1, and I call it material. It's yellow, so I save. Then I can go back to my articles. And then remember, consistently throughout the software, whatever you're highlighted on at the top grid is what you're working in down below. So I'm highlighted on the love seat. I need to highlight the desk lamp, and then I see that it says material stainless steel. So you just continue making all the articles for this given customer for all the product that you're expected to receive. And also remember that anything you do under this customer level and these tabs are only for this customer. So the articles you're creating for this customer hotel is just for this customer. The software is customer specific. Also, we have another feature that you may want to use if you're continually making articles, let's say for desk lamps, or let's do love seats. Say I have another love seat coming in like I was talking about before, but it's red. And instead of a time saver to do is use what we call a template. And the template is right up here next to the white page to add new. This is called a template. Add template. So whatever you have highlighted on is what it'll make a template for. So I hit template, and it remembers everything I put for that previous piece I had highlighted. So this is just a time saver. So I'm going to create a new article, CH200. I'm going to change this to say 200. And this one I'm going to change to red. and then it's yellow, so I save. Yes. So that's just what we have as a feature as another time saver when you're creating articles if you don't have an Excel sheet to import and you're creating them one by one. We'll do one more. So once again, we hit white page to add new. And in this case, we're going to create, we're going to have a bookcase. So just going to make up an article right now, bookcase. My class is hotel project. My category is files storage. My type is a bookcase. And my description is a 4-shelf bookcase. And once again, I can copy my article and paste it in. And whenever you're creating anything in Windfall, such as reader description or setting up any kind of data collection, you want to try to keep things as consistent as possible. That way it never gets confusing for people out in the warehouse. You want to try to keep everything consistent. So if you're going to put the article number in front of the description on one article, you want to keep it consistent and always put it in the front. I would not mix it up and put some in the front and some in the back of the description. So attribute 1, I'm going to say I want to know the material. We'll say that it's wood. And attribute 2, maybe I want to know the color. So it's cherry. So it's yellow, so we save. Yes. So then I go into configuration, attribute labels. My category is files and storage. So anytime I select files and storage, my attribute labels are going to say material, and color. So it's yellow, so we save. Then we go back to articles. Oh, I chose the wrong category. So I'm going to go back to configuration, attribute labels, reselect files and storage because there were 2 and I selected the wrong one. So material, and color. Yellow, so I save. And I go back and these are my articles. Okay? Now, when I was talking about before with images, I typically don't see a lot of times where they receive the image prior to receiving the product. So if you purchase a CN50 scanner, that scanner allows you to take the image when you're bringing the inventory in. So that image will tie to the piece at the inventory level, not at the article level. You just want to remember articles and inventory are different. Articles is like items for basic setup. So you're basically putting in all the data information before the piece arrives so you don't have to spend as much time on the dock entering in all the data. So if you have the image prior to receiving it, you can attach it at the article level. If you don't, you can capture the image on the inventory level when you're receiving the product. So this is articles. Articles are for like items. You can, when you're bringing inventory into Windfall, like I mentioned before, there's 2 ways. One is inventory stickers, the other is articles. So you can bring in inventory just with articles and a location, or just with tag numbers and a location, or with tag numbers and articles and a location. So it's up to you, depending on the process and how you want to implement it will depend on which scenario you use. In most cases, for hotel projects, they'll just use articles because they don't need to tag every piece. Sometimes they do want to tag every piece just to make sure that they're touching every piece, scanning every piece in. But if you collect an inventory sticker and an article, your customer can still pick by the article number. So they can see online that you have 100 love seats that are red, and they'll just call for 25, and you'll go scan out 25 of the given article that they selected. So you can use tags and articles, just tags, or just articles. We also have an option here called import standard articles. This is not the same as what I was talking about before with getting an Excel sheet from your customer and importing the articles. That's a separate training. This one here is called Import Standard Articles. This pulls from this icon up here. This icon up here is called Standard Articles. Like I said before, everything is customer specific in the software. So if you create these articles in a given customer, you don't have access to them for another customer. Well, if you consistently have hotel projects time and again, you typically have the same inventory for hotel projects, mattresses, desk lamps, lighting, things like that. So if you know that you're going to have the same article numbers over and over again for multiple customers, you can create the articles in the standard articles icon up above. So when you create them in here, when you are creating articles at the customer level, so we go into the customer hotel and hit import standard articles, that'll bring up this list of standard articles that you've created prior for all customers. Then you can just select the given articles that you want to import into that article. So if I wanted to do a 2-seat, a 3-seat sectional, you just highlight the ones you want to import, a chair, and then you hit import, and those go right into the customer. See? And then it's yellow, so you save. Yes. So that's just a feature that you may use. And once again, it's up here. It's called Standard Articles. If any articles you create in the Standard Article Maintenance screen, you can import into multiple customers. This tool is good, like I said before, if you have customers with the same types of projects. So if you consistently use the same articles for multiple hotel projects, it may save you time to create them in Standard Articles up here so you can utilize them anytime you create separate customers. If you have different articles for every project, then you don't need to use the standard articles. That's just for if you're consistently using the same articles over and over again for multiple customers. So those are articles. That, once again, those are like items. And like I've mentioned before, everything in the grid is listed below. So if you right-click in the grid, you can select what to view for your viewing. So if I don't want to see attribute 3, I can uncheck attribute 3. If I want to see attribute 1, I can select attribute 1. And remember, the grid is assigned to the user signed in. So if I log into Windfall and set my grid this way, that's just for me. If another person logs into Windfall and sets the grid, that's for them. And it's just how you want to view things. And once again, you can move the columns around, put them in ascending or descending order, however you prefer. So that's one way to collect data. Remember, we're on step 3 of setting up a customer. One way is articles. The other way is through tag numbers. Tag numbers, if you don't collect any other data besides the tag number, you're just going to have a piece of inventory in your system with a tag number and a location. So what you want to do is you go into the configuration tab, and we have here listed what we call scanner prompts. So whatever you check here, down below, scanner prompts, is what will prompt the warehouse people on the scanner. So after they scan the inventory number, then whatever's checked here will prompt on the scanner for them to collect. So if, let's just assume for this scenario here, we're not using articles and we're just using tag numbers. So under scanner prompts, we would check description because we'd want to capture the description for the piece. Maybe we would want width, depth, height, manufacturer, image, serial number, and also let's say, for instance, we wanted to capture the PO number. And remember, I talked about in an earlier training video, we didn't want to capture the PO number at the order number level because PO numbers consistently change anytime we receive a delivery from the customer. So PO number is not listed under these scanner prompts right here. So what you can do is we have what we call custom UDF labels, which are user-defined fields. So what you can do is you can set, you have 12 user-defined fields to select from. You can set a user-defined field for what you want to capture. So in this instance, I'd say PO number. And then I'd go up here and check UDF1 because now I want PO number to prompt on my scanner to collect that data. So if you just rename the UDF to PO1 and don't check UDF1, then it won't prompt on the scanner. And you'll also want to make sure that you relabel UDF1, otherwise it'll just say UDF1 on the scanner and the warehouse person won't know what data to collect. Also to the right here you see that it says UDF1 repeat. What that means is for example, when you scan in an inventory piece, you're collecting the data for that given piece. So you scan in the tag number, the description, the width, depth, height, manufacturer, serial number, image, PO number. Now I go to scan in my next inventory piece, and it's still under that same PO. So instead of having to type in that PO number again, since I checked repeat, the scanner will automatically remember what you had put in previously for that last item you scanned in. So if your PO number was Q1234, on the next piece you scanned in, the scanner will remember Q1234. You can still overwrite that on the scanner if you don't want to put in that PO for that next piece, but the repeat allows the scanner to remember what you put in on the previous scan. So those are UDF fields and scanner prompts. Now the scanner prompts are used when you just have tag numbers. You can also use them when you're using tags and article numbers. So if in this scenario that I'm going to talk about now, in a hotel project, if I wanted to use tags and articles, I would not use description because description is tied to my article. Width, depth, height is tied to my article as well as manufacturer. And serial number we're not going to collect since serial number is typically used for a serialized piece. So it wouldn't be an article number. It would be a unique individual piece. So we want to capture image. Maybe we want to capture condition, PO. Maybe we want to capture the room number it's going into or the floor that's it's expected. So it's yellow and we save. So you can have tag numbers and article numbers. So if you want to capture more data other than what you're capturing at the article level, you can use the scanner prompts to collect that. So if I wanted to capture PO number, I'm not going to know my PO number prior to receiving my data, so I can't put it in at the article level. Plus PO numbers change, and if that that love seat came in one day and had one PO, and then it came in another day and had a different PO, I couldn't go into the article and change it each time. I would just put it under a scanner prompt, stick a sticker on it, assign my article, and then capture the PO on the scanner prompt level. So these are scanner prompts. Also, I had mentioned before when we were speaking about articles, you can capture articles two different ways. One way being a drop-down screen, and the other way being just a prompt that says article number with the field down below, and that gives you access to either type in the article number or scan the article. So here under configuration inventory, if scan article number is checked, that means on the scanner it'll appear with the verbiage article number and a blank field below. So that'll give you the option to scan or type it in. If you want the drop-down list, you uncheck scan article number. So if you want the option to pick from a drop-down list, you uncheck scan article number. So that's up to you. So it's yellow, so we save. So that is the second way to collect data. Now remember, we're talking about the 3 steps in creating our customer. Our first step is creating the customer name. Our second step is creating at least one order. And our third step is setting up how we want to collect the data, whether it be just tags, just articles, or articles and tags. All this setup must be done prior to scanning in any inventory. So if you want to use articles, you have to import the Excel sheet from the customer, or if you don't have one, you can create them on your own, as generic as you want or as specific as you want, or you can use scanner prompts and set your scanner prompts to the information that you want to collect. So that all needs to be done firsthand before you bring in any inventory. There's also, as you can see here, I checked condition, and you have status as well. Now these are just 2 fields within the system that you have to set up what types of conditions and types of status prior to receiving the product. They're not free fields to type in. So if we go into global and go under conditions, so if we check condition as a scanner prompt for our scanner, the person in the warehouse only has these conditions to choose from: excellent, good, fair, poor, new, unacceptable. Same with status. If you select status as a scanner prompt, you can only select from the status codes listed here: pending pickup, pending delivery, reserved, in use, in storage, off property. Now, like I said before, everything in Windfall you can change, add, modify, delete. And like I said as well, you don't ever want to delete anything unless you for sure know you'll never use it again. So if I wanted to change these status codes, I could just highlight one and modify it to just storage if I wanted to. Or I could delete the whole thing and get rid of that as an option. But like I said before, whatever, if you want to use condition or status as a scanner prompt, you must first know what is set in global. What is there right now is just hard-coded in. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. But on the scanner, it'll have a drop-down of whatever you have up in global under conditions. So when you check condition as a scanner prompt on the scanner, it'll say condition and give them a drop-down of whatever is set in global here. Those are the only two fields in scanner prompts that make you set up prompts prior to receiving. They're not freely typing fields, such as depth, manufacturer. You can all freely type in there. But condition and status, you have to select from a drop-down. So those are the 3 required things you must do before you receive inventory. What I'm going to show you in the other videos is just the capability of the software itself and enhancements, ways to save time, features, and little things you can do within the software. So this concludes just customer setup.